Okay, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. My name is Shon Williams, aka the President, and welcome to the Safe Room Podcast, a safe space for entrepreneurs and business owners to share their personal and professional stories. And today we have a fantastic guest. Honestly, it's a guest I'm excited for. I've really been like keeping an eye on this person, seeing the amazing stuff that she's doing. So I feel like I need to make this intro just. We have to make sure we
Oh,
don't butcher it. But so fingers crossed for me. So today we have Margaret Leanne, and today she is going to share some of the amazing work that she's been doing. So just to brief you in, Margaret, or Maggie, as I would know her as, also known as, if you may have heard this name, if you're in Toronto, Karis Maggie. So basically, she took the Maggie and the carrot. You see, like clever wordplay right there. We already love that. She is a food and culture content creator and educator. She has a thriving community of over 30,000 people. Let me just repeat that one more time. 30,000 people, and uses her platform to have conversations about the complexities of culture through food, language, and life experiences. Oh my. Absolutely amazing. So once again, let's welcome Margaret, Maggie, Leon to the podcast. Maggie, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been excited to speak to you for a while now, so I'm really happy to be here.
I appreciate that. I'm actually now trying to remember, how did we first reach out to each other on social media? Because like it's a
Hmm.
blur.
It is a blur. I don't know. It definitely went down in the DMs. I know it was a DM conversation. It
Yeah,
was a DM conversation, and then we finally met in person at a recent event, and now we're here.
that's true. That's true. I love how you said down in the DMs. You had me remind me of like 2017 a bit. Like it goes down in the DM. It goes down. Never mind that. We're not here to talk about 2017. We're here to talk about Maggie and the work that she's doing. And like I said, I've been watching you for a while now. I first discovered you based on your podcast at the time being. Now, this was when I was getting
Hmm.
into podcasting, and I was just trying to see, like, all right, what else is out there? Who can I learn from? So, like, you were one of the few people that I started off to just listen to, get an understanding. And then I saw the content you were posting. And I thought, like, man, oh man, like, she's like a workhorse. Like she's just going out to event and just doing the thing, interviewing people, covering, different events across the city. It's absolutely amazing. And then I heard about Kitchens of Toronto. I thought, what can't this woman do? I mean, come on now. Like, it's absolutely phenomenal. So I'm like, I have to get her on the podcast. I don't know when, but it needs to happen. So I'm glad that you're here.
I appreciate it. You're making my head swell, man. Hmm.
It's all good. It's all good. Anyway, like I said, we're gonna get into your journey as a content creator, because I know content creation, it is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot that goes into it. So I'm definitely excited to hear how you have built a reputation for yourself, the brand that you built for your audience. But before we get into all of that, we have to start with our opening segment, the hot seat. So it's just
Ooh.
don't worry, it's not that bad. At this point, I feel like might start calling it the lukewarm seat, because it's not as spicy or that hot. But nonetheless, the hot seat. I'm gonna ask you 4 questions. I just want you to answer them to your best abilities. Okay?
Okay.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so the first question. So outside the work that you do as a content creator, tell me something about yourself in one sentence.
Serial Netflix binge watcher.
Wow, that is
Yes.
so descriptive.
Yes, you need all the recommendations. I got you.
Okay, so you mentioned Netflix. So, what are you watching right now currently? If you could share it.
Honestly, right now, I'm trying to check out Damsel. It just came out. So, yeah, on my downtime, yeah, I'm watching it right now. It's pretty good.
Okay, is there anything that you could probably recommend for me? Because I'm not the most active on Netflix, so maybe there's something you could put me on to.
What are you into?
Honestly, like anything that's like not a particular genre. I just want something where like there's like a really good story. So I guess if I had to kind of chop it down
Mm,
to a genre, maybe a little bit of like thriller, action for sure. But anything that
Thriller.
has to like make me think or like I don't know what's gonna happen next.
Oh, there was this documentary that just came out. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I think that would be like your jam.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering, are you talking about Quiet on Set, for like the Nickelodeon documentary?
Not that one, because I don't think that's on Netflix. I think it's on Disney or
I'm not
Hulu.
sure. I'm not sure, but
Hulu.
I okay, okay.
Yeah, not Netflix. That's not on Netflix. But the one I'm thinking about, it has to do with like a little trailer, like you don't know what to expect. But the name is escaping me right now.
Okay. No, maybe we'll get deeper into it. And then it's like, oh, wait, I got the name. So I'll let that be. I'll let that be. But I really like your answer. I love how it's so descriptive because I feel like you saying it, it's like I can actually now imagine just, it like it visually in my head. So I like that. Okay, okay. So the second question I have. So I want you to name your best moment where you were able to cover like any event. This could be any event that you covered that you felt like, oh wow, like I'm so glad I had the opportunity to, do so, to go out, meet so much amazing people. Like what would you say is like the best event you got to cover?
Oh, Collision, hands down. Yeah, I went last year and I was able to meet amazing entrepreneurs from literally all over the world. And all of them had incredible stories that I could learn from. And I was like, I need to share this. So I went with my little mic, my little phone, and we just set up wherever I could get them and just had conversations. And a lot of those people, I have been keeping an eye on them to see what's next for them because the sky's the limit for them for sure. But yeah.
That's great to hear. So, for people who may not know, Collision is a conference here in Toronto. I heard about it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go. That sucks. But hopefully this year I'll get the chance. But I did see some of the content that you post. So, like from what I saw, a lot of people came out for that conference. I think it was for like 3 days, right?
Yeah, it's intense. It's really like there's so much to learn. There's a topic for everyone to learn from as well because it is a tech event, but they cover everything. So if you're into AI, you want to learn more. If you want to learn about sustainability, how we can use technology for that, like there's something for everybody. So I appreciated that about the event.
All right. So if anyone here in Toronto is listening, keep an eye out for Collision. Anyone around the world, you may have to come to Toronto to
Right? Take a
Collision.
flight. Take a
Take a
flight.
flight. Definitely, definitely. Okay. The next question I have here. An interesting fact that you rarely share about yourself.
An interesting fact. Oh, I play the trumpet and the drums.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I don't share that a lot, come to think of it. Maybe because
Okay.
I've retired with the trumpet for a minute, but yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear. And like, did you play the trumpet and drums? Like, did it probably get started like maybe through school, or was it just more of like you had like this interest to play the
Oh,
trumpet or the drum?
I was bullied into it. I wish. No, it was from church, and they had a group, and I had a bandmaster who he was like, "No, like you need to learn," and he was so dedicated that he would come pick me up from my house after school to bring me to practice because that was my excuse to not go. He's like, "Okay, I'll just pick you up." So shout
Okay,
out to him for
I
getting me
see.
started. But yeah, it taught me a lot. It teaches you discipline and dedication to something because there were a lot of days that I had to like practice to get it perfect. And also teamwork because other people depend on you to carry your part on the band. So yeah, fun
That's
times.
that's very true. I really like how you mentioned teamwork. There has to be some type of unison when it comes to like a band or just like the orchestration of everything. And like I completely understand your sentiment of being bullied to play an instrument because that was the same thing for me back in high school. I had to play the trombone and it was a long story, but basically it's like, listen, you're the only person who has like long enough arms to like reach some of the notes.
Oh
So like we're
no.
gonna need you to play the trombone, but I actually liked it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was actually one instrument I tried, but my hands are too short, so I had to give it up.
Yeah, so like for me, I'm like, you know what? I guess I'll give it a try, and I actually ended up enjoying it a lot. I spent a lot of time in band during high school for the last couple of years, so I mean, it was fun. We got the chance to play at different places around the city,
Yeah,
so it was fun.
yeah.
Okay, okay. The final question here for the hot seat segment. What is your personal safe room? So, what is a safe space that allows you to be you? It could be physical, it could be
Hmm.
mental. What's your safe room?
I would say my home, like wherever that is. Like I literally just moved the other day, so this will be probably the fifth place in Toronto that I've moved.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, wherever home is, and especially if it's around people who I love as well. Yeah. So yeah, that's my safe room, my home.
All right, that's great to hear. I mean, I've never had someone come on here and say I had to move like 4 different times, and now this is my 5th house, which is it's amazing to kinda hear that how you kinda moved in different parts of the city, but you still feel like, for you, like, the home is your safe room because it's like no matter where I'm in the city, as long as I'm in my home where I get to, be myself, then I think it's a beautiful thing to hear.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, all right. Okay, so that's the end of the hot seat segment. Like I said, it wasn't that bad. I feel like you ran through that very smoothly.
You said you have to rename it lukewarm seat. I
Honestly,
can't.
we have to put it to cold seat now after that one, but I digress. Let's get into the questions. But before we get into that, if you guys are hopping on right now, you are listening to the Safe Room on Love Bay Radio. I'm here with Maggie, aka Kara's Maggie, and we're here to talk about her journey as a content creator. Probably get some details on some other things I have. I have all the questions here, but there might be some follow up questions. So just be prepared for that, okay?
Okay, okay.
Okay, okay. So the first question I want to start off with, Maggie, is how did you get started in your journey in social media? Because from what I see, it seems like there was definitely a point where, like, okay, Maggie probably got started, but she had to put the pieces together. But it seemed like you put the pieces together very quickly because I feel like now moving forward, like everything's good. And I love your reaction. It's like, Sean, it's the complete opposite, actually. It's the complete opposite. But I would love for you to share your journey, how you got started in social media, and what was the vision that you wanted to share with your audience.
Wow. So I was going to school in Newfoundland at the time, Newfoundland and Labrador. I went to a school, Mon Memorial University. Shout out to them. And so I wanted to be a doctor. That's what I thought I wanted to be. I'm from a Haitian household, and your career options: lawyer, doctor, engineer, But by year two, I was like, I don't think I want to do this. And that was also around the time I started my YouTube channel. And a lot of people were reaching out to me, asking me, like, how I moved to Canada, like, what was the process, little things like that. And I saw it as an opportunity to, one, not constantly be repeating myself with the same information. So I could make a video and I upload it. And if anyone asks me, I can share a link. And if they have any other questions, they can just reach out to me. Because I saw that's how I learned things. I went to YouTube if I had a question. So fast forward to I graduated, and that's when I kind of picked up. My interest was more geared towards cultural education. At the time, I tried to dabble a bit with, giving tips for university. But I'm like, but I hate school. Why am I giving tips about surviving school when I did not like it one bit? But culture, like talking to people about cultural food or just their experiences, that made me light up. And that's what we've been doing ever since. In terms of social media, how I got started into that specifically, when I moved to Toronto, I was working at a nonprofit, and they did not have any kind of marketing efforts, you could say. So I wore many hats as a program coordinator slash marketing person. And so I taught myself how to use Instagram, how to use, MailChimp for email marketing, all these things. And I got really curious to know how I could use it for my content. So that's when I made a separate page for my Instagram, or for my YouTube channel. I made an Instagram for it. And then fast forward to me now freelancing. This was during the pandemic. I saw that a lot of business owners, especially in our community, were kind of suffering. And I wanted to help and give any tips that I had at the time. So I started freelancing. But your girl wanted to be more legit. So I took a course with Meta. So some persons probably saw that ad that went around for some time. And that gave me more confidence, I would say, to know like what I was talking about, how I could help people, and my preference of what I wanted to dabble in with social media marketing specifically. And that's video content creation, telling stories. I think a lot of business owners, they can really share their message about their brand by telling their stories more, because that's how you stand out. Your story is what allows you to stand out. And yeah, now we're here sharing the love of social media in every way, shape, and form. Videos are my thing though, because I feel like it just allows people to see everything, your personality, your feelings about the topic, your authenticity. So that's why I really love social media.
That's great to hear. And even that part where you mentioned where you got started with social media was because of an organization that you work with, and they didn't have that marketing presence. That's something I kind of experienced recently, that there are some people who are reaching out to other individuals, and they see like, oh wow, this person's doing a really good job and like, presenting themselves to their audience. Let's try to like reach out to them and hopefully give them the chance to like help us, but also we can help you in a way. There has to be like some type of trade-off. So I think that's really great how things got started from there in terms of social media. And then you kind of had this, revelation like, oh wow, like I really like this. And like in addition to the YouTube channel, building upon that, I think that's really great. And I think you're probably like the first guest, maybe, that when it comes to like making videos, there's like a joy. Not to say that I don't think anyone has hate to make videos, but everyone understands the process of making those videos, whether it's, getting the right equipment,
Mhm.
filming, editing. There's just so much that goes into it. So like a follow-up question I wanted to ask for you is like, how did that feel in terms of like the process of like, okay, I want to start making more videos, but I understand that there's going to be some sacrifices or there's going to be some consequences in doing that. Cause like now, do I have the right equipment? Do I have all the necessary tools to get everything done? Like how did you react, I guess, in the moment? How are you still learning from creating videos and trying to share those messages with your audience?
Oh wow. I would say in the beginning I started out with my phone. I did not want to have myself like restrict myself because of the lack of a certain equipment or anything like that. So I started off with my phone, and then there was a year that I worked at a camp, so I saved up my little coins, and it was one of those Amazon packages bundles that they have where you get the camera and the tripod, but it was one of those cameras that was like going out of stock. So I took it on a deal. It was a great quality camera, and from there I taught myself everything. So again, YouTube University crew, woohoo. You learn the basic editing styles. I think what helped me though was that I used to be one of those people who use Windows Movie Maker to do those little like slideshow with the pictures. So it's the same concept in terms of editing. You cut out parts that don't matter. You try and tell a story with it. But now you're just doing it with videos. And so I think it was as I got more into content creation and I saw other people around me, that's when I started thinking, oh, maybe I need to get lights. But in the beginning, if I'm being honest with you, I was using classrooms at my university because I lived on campus to record. So I would wait till classes were done, use an empty room to record my videos. I had one little flimsy light that it did its best. It got the job done. And what I did was I started saving money along the way to buy little little. So the first big investment I made outside of the camera was lights. So I got two softbox lights. And that's how I pretty much was buying equipment over the year. It's like every year I dedicate to buying a new equipment that can help me level up my content game, but it's not just for the sake of buying it. It has to serve a purpose, because sometimes it's not really about the equipment you have, it's how you use it, because you can have the most fancy camera and not know how to use it and still not get the results you want. So I think that would be my message to anyone who is like, start with what you have, but learn along the way and elevate yourself as much as you can with, saving, investing as you go along. And yeah, it's a journey.
I mean, and that is a strong message about just work as you go, especially when it comes to like the video aspect. And like I said, I'm sort of like in the market of thinking, I need a camera, but I'm also telling myself I ain't trying to spend $1,000 on like a Canon, a DSLR. Like, listen, I understand that that's the mecca, that's the main camera, but I'm like, I just need something that records video. I'm not so fond about, oh, I need a camera that needs photos. Like, I've never been the photo guy. And
Mm-hmm.
trust me, if you go through my photo gallery right now, I have like less than 100 photos, which is criminal because I know for most people they have like thousands, and I'm like, I have like 90 something. I'm not a photo guy, so I'm sorry, but I understand where you're coming from. And I like how you say I'm taking it easy when it comes to like buying equipment. I'm not trying to like buy it in a haul or just like all
Mm-hmm.
at once. It's like, okay, I need to figure out, does this serve me purpose? Is this something that I can actually utilize, and it makes the justification of me purchasing it? So I really like that. I really like that. Okay, the next question that I want to get into: how do you leverage yourself on different social media platforms where you're gravitating people to your page? Because I know it's one thing to start on social media, but it's also what platforms makes the most sense. Like, is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? I know we all ask that question. I'm still asking that question today. I've been mostly Instagram family since day one. I tried TikTok, it hasn't got off the ground. I tried YouTube, it's a work in progress. Twitter or X, I don't think I'll ever touch that personally. That's just my opinion. But I want to ask you, like, how do you leverage yourself in a way where you're able to operate on multiple social media platforms and able to, whether it's bring the same audience to those platforms or create
Mm-hmm.
new audiences, but still tie everything together in terms of what your brand represents?
Yeah, this is something that took me a little time, I would say, and admit to figure out. Because when you hear be a content creator, be on all the platforms, you're thinking, I need to be on all the platforms at the same time. So remember how I mentioned I started my YouTube channel? I didn't make an Instagram account for Charismatic TV until I think 3 years later, because I was using my personal page and kind of, promoting my little YouTube videos here and there, like, I just dropped a new video. Them times your girl didn't even know properly what was a call to action, all of these different things. So even social media marketing for me back then, I wasn't really aware of how it worked. So that was something I learned along the way. And what I would say is it helps that when you feel as if you have not so much mastered a platform, but you think you are consistent on it enough. You've figured out the type of content you will grind out on that platform. Then you can start exploring the other ones and see, okay, what is my bandwidth? That's the most important question. What is your bandwidth? What is it that you can actually do to keep yourself active on these platforms once you start? So for me, when I started out on TikTok, I was like, just like everybody, trying to figure it out. It took me a while to get into it as well. But then I realized TikTok is where I can just be more relaxed. So on my TikTok is where you will find me more chill. If you want to get another side of me, the more chill version, you can go on TikTok and get that. That's where I share more of my vlog experiences. So I remembered sharing like my wedding series on Instagram, kind of like letting people know I'm getting married, kind of like sharing some lessons and tips I learned along the way. I left a lot of my vlog type content for TikTok because I knew TikTok gravitates to that content a lot. So when it was time for me to push out content, this was also during a time where I did felt like I didn't know what to post on TikTok. I said, let me experiment. Let me post a wedding vlog. And it people actually liked it. I'm like, oh wow, people are into this. Like, come on for episode 2 and episode 3, until I was finished with it, more or less. But that's what I learned through the journey. So I would say for me, Instagram is my main platform where I still connect with people and I drive my messages there of all the different things I'm doing. But then TikTok I use for more of the vlog style recap of like a little thing, or like off the top of my head, if there's a topic that's I'm passionate about in the moment, I can just make a video right then and there. YouTube is more of a different beast. That one requires more planning, the scripting, and all of that. So, what I do for YouTube is I leave it for like my longer videos where I can dive into topics a bit more. And for those people who are interested in that kind of content, they will find it due to like SEO and things like that. But I'll still, promote it on TikTok or Instagram. It just depends on what people are into at the time, time of the year, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And I really like how you again went into detail how YouTube, you started off and then there was the thoughts of TikTok, how you wanted to utilize that in terms of the content being shared, which I think is really important because I feel like with each social media platform, there's always something different it offers. So TikTok, it's kind of more of like you'll see a lot of like, like trendy videos, stuff that like people are talking about like more in like pop culture or just in general. So it's a more open gate where Instagram, I feel like it's kind of hard to define because it's like a mix of TikTok, but it's also kind of like still professional in a way. I feel like this is where people kind of build like a portfolio for themselves or like some type of like CV, I guess online CV
Definitely.
where like you get to know more about the business side of things or the artistic side of this individual, and then you have YouTube where if you want to kind of go more into detail about certain topics, then that's what YouTube's for. And then there's like even LinkedIn. That's another thing I'd even mention. LinkedIn, I feel everyone
Mm,
now is starting to tap into LinkedIn because they're looking to probably get connections, new
yep.
clients, new customers. That's another crucial platform. But I think again, it's really important to understand the branding side of things. And this is something we actually talked about before we went on live here on Love Bay Radio. Like I was talking to you about how am I going to figure out the branding side of things for my own stuff? How can I figure out, oh, what can I do to kind of separate myself but still connect everything together? So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
it's super, super important. But another thing I wanted to ask you about, because again, I know with all this happening and having to push out all those content onto different platforms, like do you tend to do like batch content in like periods like, okay, I'm gonna do like a whole amount of content for like
Mm-hmm.
one day, and then I'll take the time to edit that, and then once it's done, all I have to do is schedule it? Or at one point did you feel like I was just making one piece of content and then like, oh, I'll be fine, I'll just move forward, and then it just kind of caught up to you like, okay, wait, I actually can't do this strategy anymore, so I need to switch up?
You know what's funny? Back when I was like when I just started, I think I was more disciplined in doing that. I was very intentional with batch creating content, mainly with YouTube. I think it's hard to batch create for certain platforms, like depending on what the content is. I think some people can batch create and some can't. But for me right now, I'm gonna just keep it 100 with y'all. I sometimes the videos are done 10 minutes before it goes up. But I can do that because I've had years of practice with speaking on the camera. I know what I want to say, all those the skills that I built up over the years. I want people to know that for some of us who make it look easy is because it's years of experience. I still stumble over my words. I still have to do multiple takes, but I wouldn't advise that to someone starting out to do it that way, right? I would advise them to have a schedule, make a plan. For me right now, I said this year was my year of rest. I'm not making social media stress me out. That's where I'm at. So right now my focus is on I just started a new job. It's doing a great job. Um to get over that probation period, all of that, adjusting to the new place I move in. And I also have some projects that I have in the background that I'm trying to work on getting released soon. On top of, the project that you mentioned earlier, Kitchens of Toronto. So I think for me, I look at content also as, or putting out content as, what is the purpose? Am I posting for the sake of posting, or is there a reason behind it? And if there's no reason behind it, I tell myself I can chill for a bit. If you, however, need to post for the sake of urgency, for like a deal that you have because you're a business owner or you have something you want to promote, then you have to plan. That's just the honest truth about it. You're just gonna have to plan and put it out there.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And I second that sentiment of, figuring out if I'm gonna post something, is it urgent? Is something that I need to do right now? Or is it something where, okay, I don't have to immediately get to? So even for me, I was that person too. I was the opposite actually when you got started. I was more like, oh, I'm just gonna share everything and like it's gonna be good. But at the same time, I thought I need to be disciplined. So like at sometimes if I didn't get a post out on a Friday, I would lose it. I would like stress out like the night before, like, no, I'm not going to sleep. I gotta get this done. It now comes to the point where like if I don't get it for this Friday, that's fine because I'm not trying to let it stress to
Mm-hmm.
just like what I need to focus on. Like I said, I have other things going on. Like I can't let you guys know, but there are so much episodes that need to be published for me, and I haven't even edited them yet. But the thing is, it's not because like, oh, like you're just not getting into it. I realize that okay, like they don't need to go out immediately every single week. I think the
Yeah.
last episode that was dropped on Spotify for the safe room was probably 2, 3 weeks ago, which is fine. Now, if I was like MIA for 3 months, and it's like, okay, we gotta get back on track. But like 2 to 3 weeks, I'm like, that's okay. I clearly I have other things that I'm working on right now that I'm trying to manage. So I totally understand what you're coming from in terms of just not trying to pressure yourself when it comes to content. Because at the end of the day, as long as you understand if you're posting it for a purpose or you can wait on it, but also if you're maintaining happiness and mental health when you're doing this, like the worst thing you could do is get burnout from the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that you're doing. And that's one thing that even though I may not post every single day of every single week, I'm not getting burned out to where like, oh, I feel like so tired after making and creating or editing. Like that's what you don't want to feel. You want to feel like if you're diving into your own content and you're editing it, it should be a joy. It should be something that you actually want to do rather than it's a job in a way.
Literally. And I'm glad you mentioned burnout because I had my moment where I experienced burnout and had to take 8 months from doing content because of that burnout. So there are definitely consequences to it where you try to do a little bit too much too soon. And I think sometimes we don't give ourselves enough grace, especially when we're just starting out. I want people to also understand people who make it look super easy sometimes, they have a team, okay? Relax. Okay? Relax. Give yourself grace. Go one step at a time and just make sure that it makes sense. Like we have a lot of amazing ideas that yes, we want to put out there, but it doesn't make sense to do it if it's just going to bring you to your breaking point. That can actually do more harm than good for you in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned, like people have teams. Like they'll have like 3 or 4 people that will take some part of the load and just kind of help you and assist you with that, which is fine. But I will say this too: there are a couple people that you see on social media, you think like, man, they have everything locked down, and then I would meet with them in person. They're like, no, everything is just a wreck. Everything is just messed up. So like sometimes it happens to the best of us, and I think even to an extent, it's something you just can't control. It's something you can't really try to fix,
Yep.
move around. Like you mentioned, you took 8 months off last year or the beginning of the year. I was like on a roll. I was dropping like I was making basically building up to the 100th episode for the safe room. I literally got to episode 99 posted. The 100th episode didn't come out 3 months later. I don't know what happened, but I just crashed. I was like, that is like the worst way to leave
Oh
people
my
on red.
god.
It was so terrible, but I never panicked in the way like, oh my gosh, I need to get it out. It was like, you know what? I have things going on right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna focus on it. It wasn't until like someone told me like, hey Shon, like, are you still dropping episodes? I'm like, I haven't dropped one in a while. I'll drop it. And all of a sudden, everything just started to go back to, to the regular schedule. Everything just started to flow. Everything was normal. So again, like sometimes having that burnout, it's not a bad thing. Sometimes it's kind of like the stuff that we need, like that reminder that
Reminder.
you're human. And another thing too, if your audience really understands what you do, then they're not going to get upset if it's like, oh, how dare Maggie not post every single week? I do not know. She needs to post every like, no. You will probably tell your audience, like, listen, I've been out of it. I have no energy. I'm trying to just recover. They'll be like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
do what you need to do. Like, we're not going nowhere. All right. Like, we're here for you. We're here to support. And sometimes too, your audience is like your own marketing team in a way where if you share stuff, they'll be sharing things like on their stories. Like sometimes like I'll be going on Instagram and I'll be getting like notifications like, oh, someone shared this, but I'm like, I didn't even get anything. Nothing. I didn't even tag me. I'm like, where did this even come from? They're like, oh, I heard about you because of this individual, or like, oh, I heard about Maggie because like I talked to this person, I talked to this person. So like there's always lots of things to consider when it comes to like content creation, marketing.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much to consider.
Definitely. And I think of it this way too, like y'all remember your favorite TV show, they put out content by seasons and they take a break. So why can't you? Just remember that. And you still wait. You wait till the new season comes out, right? Okay.
Yeah, you know
Enough
what?
said.
That I think that's a great segue. Speaking of seasons, we need to talk about Kitchens of Toronto season 2 because you just
Okay.
launched that. I'm super excited to talk about this because when I first heard about Kitchens of Toronto, I was like, oh man, like I'm always late to the party. You know what it is? I feel like it's like this like this curse or like something bad where like I tap into something and it's either A, like the season's done, or B, the show's about to like completely end. Like that I don't know what it is. I'm always late to the party when it comes to stuff like this. So when I first discovered Kitchens of Toronto, I'm like, wait, is there more episode? It's just like, I swear, if this is like a one and done, I'm gonna be so upset in terms of it. But I'm so glad you came back with a season 2.
That's so funny because I remember when I put out season one, it was on like some kind of shy thing. I was like, yeah, I'll talk about it here and there. I did a whole like promo, which was like a really great marketing campaign. Like I'm really proud of how I like put it out there. But afterwards, I kind of got scared, and that imposter syndrome like creeped up on me. But eventually, I realized, you know what? No, I do deserve to speak in this space and share because everyone has a different story for why they are passionate about a project. So for me, I grew up in a multicultural household. So my mom is from Haiti, I'm from Guyana. They raised me in Jamaica and Belize, and now I live in Canada. So Walipa mix up, mix up. And one thing I admired with my mom is that every country we moved to, she learned to make the food from the local people. So food in the house never got boring. I was not just eating Jamaican food or just Haitian food or Guyanese food. Whatever country I was living in at the time, I was getting a piece of their cuisine as well. So when I moved to Canada, I was in Newfoundland, not a lot of diversity with food. So when I came to Toronto, it was just like I can walk 2 blocks and see, Trinidadian food and get doubles. And then 2 blocks from there is an Ethiopian restaurant. Like that was just mind blowing to me. I'm like, is this even real? So the inspiration for season one, this actually came when everyone was in the pandemic, we're locked down and Netflix, yes, we're binge watching. So I was binge watching a bunch of food shows. Specifically, there's one called Somebody Feed Phil and High on the Hog. So High on the Hog talks about the history of food that came from America, I mean, from the continent of Africa to America, and how that formulated into what we know as African American cuisine today. And so I was watching it and I'm like, yo, we're in Toronto. Why we don't have something like this on Netflix? And then I was like, I want to try something. I'm going to pick 6 spots that represent a different part of the world, and I'm going to do a series. And I'm just going to go with my camera, capture content, learn a bit more about the food. If I love it, what comes out of it, then I'll do a series. And that's how it started. And fast forward to what was it, last year? I got funding from Ontario Creator and Canada Media Fund to do season two. So funding was for a pilot episode and a trailer. And that was just confirmation for me that imagine if I didn't take that step to just do this series on my own, like thinking that I needed to have all the fancy cameras. Like I literally was able to show a proof of concept from something I did based off an idea that was in my head. And I got other people to believe in whatever vision I had for season two. So yeah, it's just been a crazy ride. The feedback has been amazing, and we're right now in the process of trying to get more funding because we need more money to finish it. So I might have to do like a crowdfunding because the grants are very hard to get, especially for these type of things. Some of the grants can be very particular. So yeah, I'm hoping to do a crowdfunder and launching that hopefully next week, fingers crossed. Just trying to find the right platform that I think it would do really well and get people's support. But yeah.
Yeah, I can understand the whole grant situation. I did receive a grant late last year that got me the chance to do my podcast workshops at the beginning of this year. And
Nice.
obviously there were certain aspects or certain requirements I couldn't do. So for example, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. I don't want to go into full
Mm,
detail, but I totally understand that with grants it can be very tricky because depending on what the criteria is or what they're asking for you if you are a recipient, then there's not much that you can do. But honestly, again, it's very nice to hear that again you had this concept and it builds and built over the years, and you're able to get extra funding for season two. And again, like you were saying, like I even have the most fancy, equipment, everything like that. But I'm telling you, this is coming from me. That trailer, that was top tier. That literally looked like, yo, am I actually watching this on Netflix?
Wait,
Because like
which one are
that
you
sounds good.
talking about? Season
I'm
one or
season
season two?
two.
Okay,
Season
season
two.
two was when we had budget. Okay, so whatever team I had, they had their fancy equipment. Season one was your homegirl with like two little cameras trying to do a thing. So the production level, yes, that's what funding does. It allows you to
Mm,
hire people who can help you with your vision. And I was really passionate for this season because I was able to learn a bit more about the cultural history in Toronto, in particular, last year. Not last year, the year before, sorry. And I was like, we have so many amazing neighborhoods like Little Jamaica, Chinatown, Kensington Market. They are all going through the same thing in terms of like gentrification. And it will get to a point, sadly, that some of these communities might not exist anymore because they have tried in the past to wipe out some of them. So I was like, I really want to tell these stories. It was like that urgency because I'm like, my children, I want them to know that these places existed, that these restaurants were here, what we had. Because it was hard for me even when I was researching for this to find like archival pictures, for example. I was like, man, there's so much history that kind of got lost along the way. Like people have them, it's just not available to the public. So I just thought of this season as a digital capsule, you could say, to tell these stories and make sure the history is told as well. So people also understand when you see communities fighting to to keep their cultural places intact, it's because of this. This is what they went through to get to this point, right? And how we can rally behind them as well. So, yeah.
yeah, I love how you mentioned saying digital capsule. I think that's so true because again, there's so much organization that we may not know that they're going to just close down. I think recently I saw something from Street Voices on their Instagram that Ontario art organizations, they're in the decline. Like they're
Yeah.
starting to drop. So I mean, you never know like what organization that you may see in your neighborhood or you may hear upon social media in your city that is going to just vanish. So I think for you, it's really great that you're trying to create something that is everlasting. So if people need to get reference or maybe like, and forbid, like I'm not wishing this, but maybe like if that organization is not able to stay in business or not to run their operations, it's like, oh, here's something that you can still remember them by and like still see the amazing work. And it's like giving their flowers,
Yeah.
giving their roses in a way to see like you are doing some amazing things. So I really like how you're capturing that with Kitchens of Toronto. So I do have an extra question though, and like
Yeah.
this might be tricky because like I want to ask you what is your favorite episode so far? Is it something that's already been released? Is it something that hasn't been released yet? That's what I want to know. Is what
Mm. So for season two, I only have one episode that was like finished. So it's hard to tell if I have a favorite for season two. But for season one, it's a tie between the episode where I talked about the Haitian restaurant Bukan as well as Nigerian cuisine via the Nigerian catering company Natives Food, because I I feel like I could see little me remembering going to like Haiti and enjoying some of those foods that my grandmother cooked, or my mom making something similar that's in Nigerian culture and we have a different name for it in our culture. So those are, I would say, definitely two of my favorites because they mean so much to me and they hit close to home. The others are great, don't get me wrong. Fabulous. I learned a lot. The food was, you know, but I think that's the thing about culture and cultural experiences is that it will also depend on your personal experience to what you're doing as well, that you'll have some more attachment somewhere else. So but Little Jamaica has a big place in my heart. So the pilot episode, yeah, which
that
is what season two is currently out about. I cried after like watching it. I was like, wow, like we did that. That's all I could really say. Like we did that. I'm proud of the restaurant owners who told their stories. You know, immigrant restaurant owners can be some of the shyest people. Like you all don't know the
Mm-hmm.
struggles to get
Yeah.
people on camera to tell their stories. So hearing them open up about their stories and just share so raw and authentically, like that was beautiful. And truly honored that they also allowed me to tell their story in that way. So yeah.
Yeah, the fact that you said that you cry, I think that's beautiful. It shows no, 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 for real. Like I think that's beautiful. It shows that you care and like the work that you're doing, it's validation. So I really enjoy that. Okay, for people coming in again, you're listening to the Safe Room podcast here on Love Bay Radio. I'm here with Maggie, aka Kara's Maggie. We have been talking about Kitchens of Toronto. It's been a fantastic conversation. Just checking the comments right here. Oh, we do got a comment from my sister. Okay, all right. This should be interesting. It says, if you had to choose a food to eat all your life,
Oh
what
gosh.
would it be?
This is a hard question. All I can say is that it needs to have some meat. I need meat. That's all I can say. I can't pick a favorite. That's really hard, y'all, but it has to have meat in there somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, so I feel you. It's such a hard question because it's like it could change any time. Like maybe one day I'm craving this, another day I'm like, oh, I want this. It's like I can't give a straight answer.
Literally. Like I change
So
my mind every day about my favorite color, so I can't do that with
I feel you. I feel you. But listen, I think it's an interesting question because it makes you think like, like what am I feeling today? I feel it's more of like a reflective question rather than like a straight answer.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe
It's in
curry. Well, I think I'll go with curry. I do love
cur-
a good curry. Yeah. I could
okay.
eat curry anytime.
That's
Yeah.
good to hear. Good to hear. I think for me, it might be doubles. I'm a sucker for
Ooh.
doubles. I feel like
Yeah.
it wouldn't like have me to the point where like, okay, I can't eat anymore. Like I could just eat like once, like a day, maybe one or two.
Mm.
I'll be good. I'll be good. I'll be fine.
I feel it. Oh, sorry.
So going on to actually I want to do this role play actually because I want to definitely get into that. So we've been doing this for the last couple of weeks here on Love Bay Radio where we have a role play activity.
Oh.
Now the thing about this, with you being on here, it's a little bit interesting because most of the people I've had on, it's been more of like one-on-one consultations, kind of like reacting or reenacting those types of situations. But I think for you, I want to try something different. So I want to ask you a couple questions based on, you again, your background in cultural education. So like let's just say I'm someone who doesn't know nothing about like
Mm.
food, culture. I'm not saying I am that person in real life. Do not get it twisted. But like let's just assume I'm that individual. It's like, hey, like Maggie, like I heard about, the stuff that you do and like a little bit more interested on, you probably sharing some knowledge. So like, are you okay with trying this
Yeah,
role play activity?
I could try. I just had to make sure my laptop was good. The charger came out just now. That's why I disappeared for a minute there. But yes, bring on the role play.
It's all good. Listen, we're here on the safe room, so it's all about the ups and downs. So it's okay. Like I told you last week, we had like technical difficulties for the first 3 minutes. It was hilarious. If you were there to see it, it was absolutely hilarious. But okay, let's get into it. So Maggie, hi, my name is Shon. I've been seeing some of your content online, and may I just say, it's really interesting. Now, I'm someone who I live here in Toronto, right? I don't go out that much, so I don't be seeing, some of the different spots in the city, or like I'm not the biggest like connoisseur when it comes to food and culture. So maybe I could ask you a couple questions just to kind of pick your brain, and maybe you can teach me something. Is that okay?
All right, go ahead. Sure.
Okay, okay. So one thing that I always hear about my friends is like, Caribbean food. And like for me, the most I know about Korean food is like jerk chicken. And I don't want to just like minimize my knowledge on that. But maybe you could give me a history in terms of like just some of the more popular dishes, the popular plates, and maybe just overall how like Caribbean food just symbolizes certain places in the Caribbean, like for example, like Jamaica, Trinidad. Like I don't know that as much. So if you're able to like go into small detail, maybe it'll help me a bit so I can get a better understanding.
Yes, no problem. So If you're looking for more Jamaican cuisine outside of jerk chicken and maybe like oxtail, because those are very popular, think about trying ackee and saltfish. So that's the national dish, and it's made with ackee, which is a fruit. It doesn't taste sweet though. I just need to say that it's not sweet, but when it's paired with saltfish, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful like flavor, and all the spices, onion, seasoning that's put in it. It's really great to eat it with ground provision. So if you're tired of rice, it's a great breakfast alternative. But I also eat it any time of the day. Whatever day I feel like eating it, I'll eat it. So that's for Jamaica. But if you want to get a little bit more experimental, because I realize people don't really know much about Haitian food, you can try so everyone knows plantain, plantain, yeah. They have a dish that they call banan peze. So it's green plantain that is mashed and it's fried so that it has a crunchy texture to it, and it's often eaten with a pickled spice condiment known as pickles. That is really great, and they love eating it with any fried meat like fried goat. I bet a lot of y'all never heard about fried goat. It's tasty, y'all. Fried beef or even fried pork. Great combination. So, yeah, yeah, I give you two. Yeah, which other one? Grenada. A lot of y'all are sleeping on Grenada. I love oil down. If you want a good oil down, you can get that from Grenada. It has a lot of green leafy vegetables in it, coconut milk. Yeah, that's what I got for you.
Okay, okay. All right. I like that. It's good to hear those different dishes from like different places in the Caribbean. So like I know you talk about food a lot, but like the cultural side of things, like do you think you can probably go into detail in terms of just like maybe the history of some of these places? Because I'm thinking about traveling to
Mhm.
maybe like, a Trinidad or maybe somewhere like in Haiti or whatever to kind of explore and understand a little bit more, like upgrade my knowledge. So maybe you can give me like a little history lesson, if you could.
Hmm. Boy, a history lesson of what exactly? That's the question. So much history to explore.
I mean, it's if we could start like maybe like I'll say like Trinidad because that's one place I would love to travel for sure. So maybe
Uh-huh.
Trinidad, if you're able to expound on that.
Trinidad. Do I know much about Trinidad? I will admit I don't know a lot of history about Trinidad like that. Do you want it connected to food or
If you
just for
could do
traveling
that,
purposes?
I think if you're able to connect it to food, that would
Okay.
be great.
All right, so Trinidad and Tobago, we know that there are two main ethnic groups that you can find, those of African descent and those of Indian descent. That's why we have Indo-Caribbean and Afro-Caribbean individuals that you can find in Trinidad and Tobago. One thing that Indo-Caribbean folks brought with them through their ancestors was curry. So all of our countries that have curry, we have our fellow Indians to thank for that. All the delicious curry dishes that we're enjoying is because of our fellow Indian ancestors from those places. And I'm trying to think of doubles. What do I know about doubles in terms of the history? I'm drawing a blank on that one. Okay. Let me see. Haiti. Yes, I can give you a good history lesson. So Haiti was the first Black republic to gain its independence in 1804. At the time, they were colonized by the French. And every year now, whenever they have their independence celebration, so January 1st, they will eat a soup called soup jomo. And it's a squash soup specifically that was mostly prepared by the enslaved folks for the enslavers. And so as a part of their rebellion, that is something that is eaten every single year by Haitian folks to celebrate, and it's called freedom soup because we didn't get to eat it back then. So when we got our independence, we're like, we gonna eat it now. hmm So if you never had it before, that's one you want to try. Yeah.
Okay, this is great. All right, I think I have a bit of a better understanding, so that's really great to hear. So I guess my final question I want to ask you is there a way I could probably tune in more into your like content, or like is it just like YouTube that you focus on and sharing this information? Like, are you on other platforms where I can possibly get to know a little bit more about different places within the Caribbean? And just
hmm
get a better understanding of everything.
For sure. So my handle is on the the screen, yeah, the screen right now. And that is my name across all the social media platforms. So whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, those are the main places that you can find me. You can find a little bit of everything. So if you're looking for more longer form content to learn a bit more about cultural history, one thing I focus on very much on my YouTube is Creole languages, because it is a set of languages that are kind of going extinct for some of us. And just to bring awareness to the languages, that they are legitimate, they are not broken languages, and for us to be proud of them. So that you can find on YouTube. If you want to learn more about restaurant recommendations for specific cultures that they represent, Instagram and TikTok is where you can get all of those things. And if you just want to hear my random thoughts about the complexities of cultures through all of these experiences, Instagram and TikTok. So you can
Mm,
find that. Yes. We haven't dabbled into long form yet. I'm trying to open up a bit more about my experiences. So maybe this year I might surprise y'all with more of those topics, talking about them in length on YouTube.
okay, that's perfect. Thank you, Maggie. I really appreciate all the knowledge you shared.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. What
All
food
right.
haven't you tried?
That you would like to try. Okay, so we have another question. And by the way, I'm seeing all the comments, guys. I know just like we were just going through the role play, so like I will get to the other comments, but okay. What
Hmm.
food haven't you tried that you would like to try?
I don't think I've ever had food from South Africa or Zimbabwe before. I would really like to try it to just know what it is. Because when it comes down to like the continent of Africa, I mainly know Ghanaian and Nigerian food, but I don't know anything about like Zimbabwean food or South African food. So would really like to try those for sure, for sure, for sure.
Okay, interesting. I'm just going back to the comments here. I see a comment from Peterlin. Good night, lovely people. I must say that food has truly evolved over the years. It
It
has.
has.
It
It
has.
definitely has.
Yes, and my sister Chanel was commenting right back saying, "I agree. I agree. Yeah, we are a long way from where we were before."
Yes, that is true. And it will continue to evolve, especially if you're coming to a place like Toronto, you're going to see more like fusions that are happening. So, even more evolution happening with our foods.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, before we end this conversation, I do have one more thing I want to do.
Okay.
It's this one's more fun. It's even more fun. Okay, so I want to do a blind ranking. So basically, I don't know if you heard of these things. Like they're on TikTok, the blind rankings that you'll see on TikTok, where they're like they'll list out 5 different things, and you
Hmm.
have to rank them without knowing what comes next. So I will probably say something, and you have to rank it between 1 to 5, one being
Okay.
the highest, 5 being the lowest. So I will say something, you have to rank it, but you won't know what comes next. So I'm not gonna list everything at once.
At
I'm gonna list
once.
one by one. So
Okay.
you're gonna have to figure out where it goes.
All right.
Okay. I think you'll be fine.
All right.
Okay. So and I try to take, like food into consideration when it comes to this
Mm-hmm.
blind ranking. Okay, so you ready?
You ready?
All right. So the first one I have here is corn porridge. Where are you ranking that? Wha-
5. I don't like porridge.
Really?
That was too easy. 5.
Wow. Just porridge in general?
Any porridge. I'll make it. Happy to make it, but I won't eat it. I can't.
Wow. I mean, I love myself a good cornmeal porridge. I'm not gonna lie. That will go down very well. So that's kind of interesting. 5. Wow. Okay. All right. We're starting off hot. We're starting off hot. Okay. 5. Okay, corn porridge. Next one, Aki.
2.
2? Okay.
Mm.
I know you did go into detail. Like that's something that you
Yeah.
really enjoy. Okay, so is there a reason why not number 1 though?
Because I feel like there's something else you're going to say that might deserve the number one. So I'm playing it safe.
Okay, that is fair. That is fair. I totally understand. The next one I have here is Callaloo.
4.
4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's see. Let's see. Okay. The next one I have here is jerk chicken. So now you got a decision. It's either one or three. It's one or three.
Oh my goodness. Will I regret this decision right now? I'm gonna put it at three. Yeah.
Three?
Yeah, I'll put it
Okay.
at three.
Okay. You're not like the biggest fan of jerk chicken, or is it kind of like I don't know what you're gonna say next, Sean, for the final one?
Like I love jerk chicken, but I wouldn't put it over aki. Me personally. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. I can eat it. I can eat aki more than I could eat jerk chicken.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So all you have is the number one spot left. All
Which
right.
is
All right. So number one is curry goats.
okay. All right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay.
I had that for dinner today. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. There you go. Perfectly in sync. That's great to hear. Okay, so just to go over again. So number one, you have curry goats. Number two, you have aki. Number three, jerk chicken. Number four, you had callaloo. And number five,
Porridge.
easily was porridge.
That was fun. But it confirmed a lot. Yes. Yes.
I feel you. Okay, well, that kind of wraps up everything here. Thank you to everyone listening here to the Safe Room Podcast on Love Bay Radio. And thank you to Maggie for
Thank
coming
you.
on, sharing your amazing, amazing stories, some of the amazing work that you're doing right now. I know you did mention social media, but just one more time, tell people where they can find you.
No problem. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok at Charis Maggie TV. So that's CharisMaggie TV.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And I know there's one thing that I wanted to actually get you to share because I know you shared this on your IG story yesterday, but I know there's an upcoming food fest in Toronto that's going
Ah,
down.
yes, yes. The Teo Food and Drink Festival. This is one of the biggest, I think it's the biggest food festival in Canada. So if anyone wants to come out, it's going to happen April 5th to the 7th. Currently, there's a discount going on for discounts on the tickets. So if you use the discount promo code FEED24, you can get some discount. But I'm also doing a giveaway, which ends on Monday. All you have to do, go to my page. You'll see the post that I shared about it. Tag Teo Food and Drink Fest, myself, and you will be entered into the competition to win free tickets.
Okay, there you have it. So again, if you're in Toronto, keep an eye out for that for the free tickets. Thank you for all the wonderful comments here. I'm reading. Thank you for a wonderful conversation. Comes from Chanel. Thank you, sis. I appreciate that. Peter Lynn, it was indeed a wonderful conversation. I'm glad that you guys thought
Thank
so. It was a
you.
fantastic conversation. Thank you again to everyone listening. You can follow the Safe Room on Instagram at the Safe Room Official. If you want to go check out any of our previous episodes, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So make sure you type in the Safe Room once you go on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you can find us. Make sure to give us a follow. Give us 5 stars as well. I haven't said that yet, but that goes a long way. It gets like the algorithm going in a way where people start to see what we're doing here. But again, we'll be back here next week. Thursday, 8 p.m., right here on Love Bait Radio, your favorite hosts, your favorite podcast. I'm going to say it right now. That's just the case because, I'm feeling a little comfortable now being on Love Bait. It's been a fantastic experience. So thank you again to everyone listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.